Happy Friday! A Friday, end of week. What's the vibe? I told you guys I'd be back. I haven't done a What's the Vibe in so long. Oh my gosh. But we're getting back in the rhythm. I had a reading this morning, and my beautiful client was like, I love the What's the Vibe so much. And I'm like, yep, of all of the gifts of the podcast, What's the Vibe is the segment that gets the most love. So we're back and let's dive straight into it. I really am feeling this Gemini season energy. And obviously, we are in Gemini season, the beginning of it. Gemini being an air sign, and the air sign pertaining to the mind, the head, the nervous system. Gemini is fast energy. It's changeable. It's represented by the twins. And oftentimes in pop culture astrology, we can look at Gemini as, oh, the evil twin, or they got this evil side, and it dilutes the substance of Gemini. And Gemini is a substantial, quite a complex sign to fully understand, she says, as a Gemini rising, but also Gemini is my, oh, other than Taurus, a favorite. It's a favorite of mine. I am going to say happy Gemini season to literally all of my closest friends. Gemini is changeable in that it steps into a room, scans the room, and can read who to be in that room. And that can be both to its detriment and to its benefit, because there is this part of Gemini that is very easily adaptable to various situations. You want to sit next to a Gemini at a dinner party. They're witty, they're funny, they're full of facts. If you're into trivia, get a Gemini on your team, you're going to win. At the same time, there is this wound of Gemini where they don't actually know what they believe, because they can see all sides of every story. And so there can be this almost like a tendency toward overthinking, well, not almost, there is a tendency toward overthinking and anxiety that can really be at the forefront of a Gemini season, because it is of the mind and in the shadow expression, overactivity in the mind. Now, I find it really interesting, like this vibe check is showing me that, like, as I'm speaking this out, I'm seeing we're in the final months of this Virgo South Node. And you remember in this week's earlier episode, I spoke about Virgo being the overachiever, the overthinker, the overdoer. And what I'm seeing as I'm speaking this out is there's this layered approach in the energy right now of this like overdoing, overthinking, overacting alongside the Gemini overwhelm energy. And so that kind of feels like the vibe this week is catching yourself in the rushing and the impatience and the busyness and the uh, running out of breath and the, doing, when you're the jack of all trades and but you're the master of none. It's like that. Where are you diluting a sense of presence in your day because you have 50,000 things your busy mind is telling you to do? And so you do all of them, but in doing all of them, you're spreading yourself thin, and nothing actually fully gets done to the depth in which you want it to get done. I hope this is making sense. Like the way I'm seeing it is like, do one thing with deep focus, presence, and intention, and do that one thing exceptionally well versus, you know, scattering yourself thin across 50,000 to-dos on your list and doing all of them half-assed, and then actually getting a worse result for it. Like you feel more productive because you're ticking more off your list, when in fact, you're probably going to have to come back around again and do all of those million things all over again, rather than if you were just present and focused one thing at a time. So the vibe check this week really is take your day one step at a time. Take the tasks on your to-do list one step at a time. This doesn't feel like a time for multitasking, or if you are multitasking, just be more thorough in your approach to it, because you're probably not going to be doing these things well. As I'm speaking this out, I'm seeing more like silly mistakes, and this can look like typos in an email. Very Gemini shadow communication. Gemini is a sign of communication, but also it's ruled by Mercury. Mercury, hello, Mercury's entered the chat. Thank you. I'm looking up if you're watching YouTube, because Virgo and Gemini are both ruled by Mercury. So Gemini is the air expression of Mercury, of the head, of the nervous system, of the mind. And Virgo is the body expression of Mercury. So Mercury governs communication. It governs, yeah, the conversations we have and the way that we express. Mercury also governs transportation. It also governs technology. So when we've got that Virgo South Node moving alongside the same time as a Gemini Sun, Mercury is ever present and potentially in its detriment. And that's where these silly mistakes are coming in. Be conscious when you're on the roads, I want to say. Like, please don't be speeding. I mean, we should never be speeding, but like, we're not checking our phones when we're driving. We're not recording stories while we're driving. Like, it feels like this the word is like convolution is coming through, but this lack of presence even in really important things like road safety feels like it's going to come to the forefront this Gemini season, because Gemini is governing transport, yes, but also technology. Like, nothing is more important than getting from point A to point B safely for yourself and everyone else on the roads. So be really, really conscious of road safety. That feels very strong. Like little bingles in your car that could have been avoided because you should have been more present driving. I'm here feeling that very strongly. But even things like when you're cooking and if you're trying to do 50 things at once in the kitchen, then you burn yourself. It's giving that energy. Like, slow it down and try and be a little more present with each task at hand. And that's going to help you prevent any like silly mistake or avoidable mishap that just is going to set you back in a way that kind of becomes a bit annoying. It doesn't feel like it's a heavy energy per se. It's more like you could it's like prevention is better than cure. Like, you could avoid yourself some unnecessary annoying mishaps if you just reined it in a little bit and were a little bit more deliberate with your intention. And I don't feel like this is just for this coming weekend or this next week. It feels like for Gemini season. It feels like until we move into Cancer season at the end of June or mid yeah, end of June. Sorry. I was like, hang on, both my parents are Cancerians, and yes, June. So yeah, we want to be a little bit more deliberate. The other things that were coming through that may resonate for you, eye tests. I know that's come through in a previous What's the Vibe. It's still very much in the field. Who is putting off their eye test? Please get it done. Also, any kind of throaty thing. I know there's a lot of sicknesses going around, especially here in the Northern Rivers, at least, maybe in Sydney as well. I'm not sure, but it's the weather's seasonal change. But throat stuff, it feels like, yes, there is the physical sickness that is doing the rounds, but also there's a lot of vocal upgrades happening. So if you're feeling particularly like down and out with some sort of throat thing that you can't shift, what's the solution? Just warmth. Yes, duh, we know this, like warm socks on your feet or wear your slippers. But more than that, just trusting that the energetic recalibration that's happening for you as well. Like, as I'm speaking this out, the guides are saying, you asked for the upgrade, we've given you the upgrade. So it's also, there's a lot. You guys missed What's the Vibe? It's back. Well, because we're in a seasonal change, and I'm speaking to the Southern Hemisphere, but obviously rinse and repeat for the Northern Hemisphere just in reverse. We are really in winter. And I know, since we've been back from Fiji, it's rained every single day except for today. Like, that's weeks and weeks of just nonstop rain here in the Northern Rivers. I know it's been pretty rainy in Sydney as well. I'm not sure what the rest of the states have been doing, but if you are in this period of like the rain and it's been like SAD, what's it called? Seasonal affecting disorder, like they're not seeing the sun. What we can benefit from is a seasonal change. Seasons are good. We want to live by seasons. And I think Australians in particular, and in particular if you live on the Northern Rivers or on the Gold Coast, we kind of skip winter. And so when rain comes for a bit, we're like so annoyed. And it's like, hang on a second. And I'm talking to myself here too, because I've been so annoyed at the rain. Can we actually let ourselves experience the full spectrum of the season that we're in? And that could be a metaphor too for you personally, but it feels like seasonally we are in a winter. Are we in a winter? We will be in June. Like, in a couple of days, we're in winter. So that seasonal shift, winter wants us to hibernate. It wants us to not be outside as much. It wants us to drink tea and wear our bed socks and rug up. And so if you're in an environment where it's meant to be a winter, but your environment outside isn't conducive to that, what can happen is our system gets a little bit confused because it's like, hang on a second, I haven't not slowed down in a whole year. I've been out and about in social as if it's summer 24/7, and that's not reality. And so this is going out to my fellow Australians listening, especially if you're living in a place that's more warm, like I'm seeing like Darwin or the Northern Territory, or, those kinds of regions that don't really get cold. There's still the energy of winter that can be expressed in your home. And that could be saying, and it's such a juxtaposition, Northern Hemisphere, different story. But when you're in Gemini season in winter, Gemini wants to be social and winter does not want you to be. And so this is just about leaning on that Virgo South Node of discernment. What are you saying yes to? And can you say no to more things? Can you stay home more? Can you do some more like home cooked meals, more of the like stews and soups and broths and slow cooked meats and these really hearty meals that are reminding your body that this is a season of hibernation, retreat from the world, and giving less of your energy out. Now, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere and it's Gemini season, what a vibe. Party time. I love the Northern Hemisphere seasons. Like, I feel like they've nailed it, and we just kind of get the dead end of the stick down this end of the globe, because not only does the Northern Hemisphere get Gemini season in their summer, but they also get Leo season in their summer. Are you kidding? Do you know, when I was younger, I used to be so jealous of like American Leos because they could have a pool party, and all I wanted was a pool party, even though we didn't have a pool when I was a kid. Still don't have a pool. Have I ever lived in a house with a pool? Yes, Trent's family home. Anyway, I digress significantly, but it's easier to adapt to the seasons, I believe, in when you're overseas. Whereas Australia, it's harder to remind ourselves that we're entering winter, and winter is a 3-month period of hibernation. So as much as we're feeling this frenetic energy, and remember, Uranus is also moved into Gemini, and Uranus is fast moving as well. It's like constant downloads. There's going to be this push-pull in our energy over this next month or so of stress in the body and the nervous system, feeling rushed, and actually reminding yourself, no, the most important thing, well, one of the most important things for my nervous system right now is to slow right down, and to be really deliberate and intentional with where I'm directing my energy, one thing at a time. And that is the vibe, my friends. I'll be back in your ears on Monday with an episode. Can't wait.